Imagine what it would feel like to be out on the green, putting like a PGA Tour pro, making a high percentage of putts inside 8 feet. Well, I'm here to tell you that not only is that possible, but in this video I'm going to show you exactly how to do that and get to that level. Trust me, you can do it. Let's go. So from 8 feet, tour pros make just under half their putts, 50%. I know you find that hard to believe because you see the highlights on TV and you see some guy on Sunday rolling in everything. An example, Scotty Scheffler recently won a tournament. He's the 77th ranked putter on the PGA Tour. So not in the top 20, not in the top 50, not even in the top 75. But he had a Sunday where his putter got hot and he was 14 of 14 from inside of 10 feet. All right, most of us are not ever going to do that, and that's okay. But we can get to the PGA Tour average, which was better than 50% from 8 feet and less. And the big deal there is on the course, 80% of your putts are going to be inside of 8 feet. So let's talk about how to do that and how I came up with this. And I've been using this idea and this thought process for about 6 years, and even with some of my students. And here it is. The golf hole is 4¼ inches wide. So if I could make a target lane 8½ inches wide, that's 2 holes wide. And if I could roll the ball in that target lane every time, then theoretically half those putts would go in. Now I know there's the statistical probability that you could roll 1,000,000 putts in a row up an 8½ inch wide lane and none of them would ever go in the hole, but that's not likely. You get good enough to roll it every time from 8 feet or less inside an 8½ inch window. About half of those putts are going to go in if you hit them at the right speed, and we'll come and talk more about that in a little bit. But the idea then is to go out and do that. So you can set this up in your home with a couple of glasses or coins on your indoor putting mat and just practice from 8 feet. Rolling them between a target that you've measured is 8½ inches wide. You can practice it on the golf course like I've set up here with a couple of tees and just roll balls over and over and over until you get to where 10, 20, 30, you keep pushing yourself. Get 50 in a row between those two tees that are 8½ inches apart from 8 feet. Then you can take those tees and set them up around the hole. And by the way, that target looks smaller when it's around a hole. You put each tee 2 1/8 of an inch outside the edge of the hole. That's your 8½ inch window. And it looks a lot smaller, but then you just work on rolling them between there. As you're doing this, you're going to notice several things. You're going to notice that number one, speed, especially if you have some breaking putts, speed matters a lot more than you realize. Blending, line, and speed becomes important. So you need to learn how to do that. You're going to notice, secondly, that learning how to roll your ball straight up a target line becomes huge. We talk a lot on this channel about how important it is to be able to roll putts straight up your target line. If you really struggle with that, there are other videos on the channel that will help you. There's my online course, How to Putt the Right Way, which will mold your stroke into a professional quality stroke, and you'll be able to roll the ball straight up your target line every time. Got a new putting aid, and this is a prototype. This is coming out in a couple of weeks. We got a few little modifications that we're making to it, but it's a tool that works on 2 principles. Principle number 1 is if you can roll the ball straight for 9 inches, so from the ball out to an intermediate target 9 inches in front of your ball, then for any putt that's over 3 feet, that's good enough to hold the line. After that, gravity and friction take over and move the ball. Works on the other principle. There's research to prove this and document it, that 5 inches immediately behind the ball, as your putter face is approaching the ball, this 5 inches, if the face is square, you'll roll the ball straight up your target line. So worked with the folks at Putt Line Golf to come up with this tool And again, it'll be available in the next couple of weeks. If you're interested in this tool, then drop me an email and I'll add you to the list. You'll get a nice discount on it when it becomes available. But the point of working on a target that's 2 holes wide, 8 feet from the hole, is you're going to learn to roll the ball straight up your target line and make about half of your 8-footers, which puts you on a Tour Pro level. Then you start doing the same thing with some putts that have a big break, and you'll see that you need to work on controlling speed, managing your start lines outside the hole, and reading greens. Good news is in the One Putt Golf School, the online courses that I've created, there's training on exactly how to do all of that, how to become a green reading guru, how to putt the right way. Check those out in the video description. Obviously, of course, on this channel, we talk a lot about these same kinds of things and concepts. Learn to do that. You'll be rolling them in at a Tour Pro level. And then there's one last thing I'm going to ask you to add and do. Set a goal for each week, how many putts you're going to make from 8 feet. And then go out and practice that. Even if you're only doing it in a little bit before, in the few minutes that you have before you play your round, go out and drop balls 8 feet around the hole and say, I'm not ready to play until I can make 10 from 8 feet or 20 or whatever. Or if you have an indoor putting mat at home, set a bigger goal. I'm going to make 20 putts from 8 feet or less 5 times a week. That's 100 a week. My goal, and I do this anywhere from 3 to 8 feet, and I vary it day by day and time by time, but on my indoor putting mat, I roll 500 putts from 3 feet to 8 feet every week. And I try to balance them, same amount from each distance, but I roll 500 in each week. That way, when I get out on the course, think about it. I've got an 8-footer and it counts, it matters for something in stroke play, or it matters in a money game or a scramble or whatever. I've made that putt 500 times this week. I've seen it go in. I know how to start the ball on my target line. I understand the concept of speed and the blending line and speed. And so then you roll it in the hole. 500 times a week, that's over 2,000 times a month, over 25,000 times in a year. All of a sudden, you're feeling no pressure or no stress. You've got Tour Pro confidence because you've worked on simply picking a target that from 8 feet, you know you're going to make at least half the time. And then some of those days your putter gets hot and you're making it over and over and over again. And remember, that's 80% of your putts. If you like the idea of putting on a Tour Pro level and picking up strokes on the green and becoming a better putter, then you know the drill. Give this video a thumbs up. Give the channel that easy tap in on the subscribe button. Make your comments below. Share the video with a friend. Check out this video on the screen now. Until next time, here's to you making more putts.